No, he don't want easy fight. He wants the big boys. He wants the guys that are gonna challenge him and gonna bring danger. He wants to prove the people that he's the best, and he will prove it, and he will look badass with these guys.
Usyk has fired back after Ben's latest comments, and boxing fans are completely reacting to the moment. Oleksandr Usyk has declared he's prepared for any opponent thrown his way, showing full confidence in taking on major names. Even David Benz, known as the heavyweight powerhouse, appeared composed but delivered a clear and direct message. If this showdown becomes reality, it has the potential to send shockwaves through the entire boxing landscape.
Was undisputed in the cruiserweight division before coming up to the heavyweight division and becoming undisputed there. So the thing is, does Benavidez want to go up to heavyweight, go up even more in weight, which he already did 25 pounds to go up to cruiserweight, and then go up more to meet Usyk there? Or will Usyk be coming down to cruiserweight?
What makes boxing so unpredictable is how a single interview can feel more intense than the fight itself. After David Benavidez began calling out Oleksandr Usyk following the Zordo Ramirez bout, Usyk replied in a tone that came across less like standard promotion and more like a direct warning from someone who thrives in high-pressure situations. This has left fans questioning whether Benavidez may have just targeted the one opponent you don't casually provoke, and what exactly Usyk said that suddenly shifted the entire mood of the boxing
This
world.
fight is one of the biggest fights of this decade right now. Take it while it's hot. Don't play with them, and don't let them play with you. It is not smart for David Benavidez to give Jabatai a shot at his name right now because he's hot right now. You go up and fight Usyk while you're hot, and it makes sense. You can always come back down and fight Batai if you want to. You understand? If you lost to Usyk, Batai fight still there. If you lose to Batai, Usyk fight gone. So be smart about this thing. Go take Usyk.
I said after the fight this past Saturday, after I witnessed what David Benavidez did, I said that I'd pick David Benavidez to beat most heavyweights. Not all, but most. And definitely not Usyk. Would I like to see it? Yeah, but there's fights that I like to see a lot more. For example, Bivol at 175, Jai Apataya. So would I like to see him move up to heavyweight to fight Usyk? Yeah, I think it would be fun. I think it would be a fun fight to make. But I would much rather see him fight Bivol or Jai Apataya.
No one expected the conversation to escalate this fast after such a dominant victory, because in boxing, fighters are usually still absorbing the aftermath of their performance while social media is already rewriting their future. Suddenly, they are being shifted into new divisions, matched with fresh threats, and thrown into scenarios they haven't even had time to process or prepare for.
Fans are going to win on that one for sure, but I got to say, the way Benavidez is looking, I think that got to lean towards him.
He could do, think about, hold on, wait, what did I just hear? Yeah. Think about what we just said on this show. And guys, it's with the caveat that he had the right guy in front of him, right? Zurdo at cruiserweight. Yeah. But I have said so far in this show that Benavidez has to be in the conversation, considering he did it at 200 pounds, for fastest combination puncher of all time. Mm-hmm. Devin is saying that's a hell of a fight, him and Usyk. Teo just came out and said he'd lean Benavidez against the heavyweight champ.
And also, Usyk is turning 40 next year?
Yeah, he's 38.
That matters. Okay, 38, 39, 40, that's close. That's 40 years old, that matters. And the speed thing, Usyk's always fighting guys he's faster and quicker.
But immediately after David Benz delivered a dominant performance against Zordo Ramirez, the normal flow of boxing politics suddenly took an unexpected turn. Rather than discussing the usual names around super middleweight or light heavyweight, his team introduced an idea that felt almost unreal. They began mentioning Oleksandr Usyk, turning the conversation toward a challenge that sounded less like routine matchmaking and more like a direct challenge to the limits of boxing itself.
To fight Oleksandr Usyk in 2027 for the heavyweight championship of the world. That is an absolutely insane fight. I know David Benavidez is very big and very fast, and Usyk is small for a heavyweight in the modern times, but I know David Benavidez just did the jump from light heavyweight to cruiserweight. But the fact that he was a light heavyweight at all, and before that he was 168, jumping all the way to heavyweight, like that's Roy Jones shit. I could see him jumping to heavyweight and fighting like a lesser champion.
This was not some casual, maybe someday type of discussion. The message was direct, bold, and completely serious. It was the kind of call-out that immediately grabs attention behind the scenes and makes promoters pause for a moment, wondering how the conversation suddenly escalated to this level so quickly.
What I seen last weekend, David Benavidez beats Oleksandr Usyk at heavyweight. Believe it or not, there are people that actually believe that David Benavidez beats Usyk, and it's like, bro, that's simply just crazy talk. I mean, I get it. Benavidez is a great fighter, but as of right now, he just got the cruiserweight, hasn't fought Albataya yet, hasn't fought Bivol, hasn't fought Beterbiev, fights that we actually want to see. And the thing is, I do think Benavidez is crazy enough to take on that challenge against Usyk, but as of right now, that would be a huge mistake for him. Truthfully, Usyk already has his own battles to take care of at heavyweight, you know, taking on guys like Caballal, Wardley, Itama. Those are all way more realistic fights for him right now. One thing to mention though is the fact that David already said it's going to be about 5 years before he goes to heavyweight. But the thing is, with Turkey involved, adding a lot more money to the table.
The timing alone made the entire situation feel almost unbelievable. Benavidez had just reminded everyone why he is considered a dangerous threat across multiple weight divisions. Yet instead of settling into the normal process of chasing titles and negotiating rankings, his team looked toward the heavyweight division, a world where the names are larger, the punches carry far more danger, and mistakes become far more costly. That is where Oleksandr Usyk suddenly became part of the discussion. A fighter who already changed the standard for modern greatness by dominating cruiserweight before moving to heavyweight and outperforming opponents who were expected to be too powerful, too experienced, and physically overwhelming for someone coming from lighter divisions. So when Ben's dominant victory reignited conversations around his future, many people noticed something unusual. The confidence behind the challenge did not sound random or emotional. It felt carefully considered, almost like an idea that had existed quietly for a long time before finally becoming public. Then attention shifted to Usyk, or more specifically, the silence before he answered. Unlike many fighters, Usyk rarely reacts just to create headlines or fuel online attention. He does not waste energy on empty exchanges. When he finally speaks, even calm words tend to carry unexpected weight and immediately change the atmosphere around a situation.
You beat Usyk, you don't know how to super title unless he want to come to heavyweight. Now he can go super middleweight, light heavyweight, cruiser heavy. Money, that's Usyk, when you can just go straight to Usyk. That's kind of crazy. In a boxing ring, with those 10-ounce gloves on, anything can happen. And that's my words to David Benavidez, because I know he listens to me, he looks up to me, thinks a lot of me. I'm going to tell him it's okay to say, no, Patai, you haven't proven yourself right.
What made the situation even more intense was the amount of time Usyk chose to say absolutely nothing. As Ben's name began entering heavyweight conversations, Usyk was already focused on something far more urgent. His full attention was locked onto preparations for a massive showdown against Rico Verhoeven, a global spectacle expected to take place near the pyramids of Egypt, combining elite combat, worldwide attention, and a historic setting. For Usyk, there was no room for distractions. Every part of his focus was directed toward an opponent carrying a completely different level of danger. That is why his response to the Ben's discussions initially came across as silence instead of engagement. But in boxing, silence rarely means nothing. More often, it signals calculation. As fans argued about whether Ben's could truly handle heavyweight pressure, others pointed toward the way Usyk mentally breaks opponents down, disrupting their rhythm until the fight becomes more about survival than strategy. At the same time, his camp made it clear they believed boxing was moving toward a different era. In their view, the usual list of challengers was no longer enough to match their ambition. This was becoming bigger than titles alone. It was about building a legacy so large that it pushed conversations far beyond traditional weight divisions.
Alalshikh, chill. Usyk is bigger than Benavidez. Usyk will not stand in front of Benavidez and take all those combos. Is a great counterpuncher, elite footwork, will literally keep distance controls and counter Benavidez all night until he gets TKO like the ball.
Usyk.
Probably like about a 10%.
It's not zero.
It's not zero. Yeah, it's a higher percentage than Canelo. To be honest with you, so
I was gonna get to him.
Usyk definitely in the future, you know. But first things first, Usyk is I give my respects to him. He's an all-time legend, and it would be an honor to fight him in the future.
That is when the debate became even more divisive, because once legacy enters the conversation, comparisons are unavoidable. Attention quickly shifted toward names like Canelo Alvarez and whether this new generation of champions is beginning to redefine who truly represents the face of boxing today. Some fans viewed the confidence behind the challenge as arrogance, while others interpreted it as the mindset of a fighter who has already surpassed the limits of his current division and is now chasing something greater. But boxing has never rewarded ambition alone. It forces fighters to prove it under pressure. What makes the Usyk discussion so complex is not only the size difference, but also the timing and stylistic matchup involved. A relentless pressure fighter with constant output and quick hands can create serious problems if that pace successfully carries into heavyweight competition. At the same time, critics continue reminding everyone that heavyweight boxing operates under completely different conditions. It is a division where one mistake can instantly erase rounds of success and change everything in a single moment. Even respected figures within the sport have responded with divided opinions about how such a matchup would truly unfold.
If he were to retire and the belts got split up, he could pick one of those off. But fighting Oleksandr Usyk, I don't care what age he is. If you give Oleksandr Usyk all of the advantages he already has, plus now he's not the massively smaller man, I don't see David Benavidez as great as I think he is. We have weight classes for a reason. And I don't see him really standing a chance there. And maybe if this is next year, maybe Oleksandr Usyk ages and he just falls off a cliff. I mean, if he does it, that's some all-time great shit.
At the same time, he recognized a crucial point. Fighters like Ben's are not typical contenders. They carry a style capable of unsettling even the most experienced champions, particularly those who depend on timing, range control, and rhythm management. That is where the discussion becomes more engaging, because boxing audiences often enjoy imagined matchups just as much as real ones. Once the debate spread across social media platforms and fan forums, opinions quickly split into two distinct viewpoints. One side argued that stepping into Usyk's territory too soon could jeopardize a carefully built career trajectory and undo years of progress. The opposing view claimed that avoiding elite opposition contradicts the very idea of greatness and what it means to stand out in the sport. A more technical perspective also emerged, with analysts examining crossover success through historical comparisons and stylistic breakdowns. However, Usyk is not focused on hypothetical scenarios or public speculation. His attention remains on immediate challenges, and his preparation for upcoming high-profile bouts reflects a fighter still fully committed to active dominance rather than legacy-driven exhibitions.
Sheikh tell his Ring Magazine outlet that he's interested in you versus Usyk. What do you think of that?
As of me, for having a competitive spirit, definitely does interest me. You know, like I said, at the end of the day, you don't know what's possible until you make it possible. You know what I mean? And a lot of people think I can't beat Usyk, but if I really put my mind into it and, you know, train for maybe like a year, because I barely came up to cruiserweight, I can't just go up to heavyweight like that. But if I train myself and I prepare myself, I could beat anybody in the world. But I'm never going to say never, because maybe in the future when I'm like 35, we could go up to heavyweight, but right now I'm really just taking care of the cruiserweight and the light heavyweight.
At one stage, when asked about future possibilities, Benavidez offered a surprisingly measured response. He admitted that while a clash with Usyk is an intriguing idea, there are still several key steps that need to be completed before it becomes realistic. He pointed to the importance of testing himself against other elite opponents first, mentioning names like Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev as the kind of challenges that would truly determine whether his current success can carry into higher levels. That level of honesty added depth to the conversation, showing that ambition is present, but so is awareness of the difficult climb ahead. At the same time, analysts continued breaking down the potential matchup from every angle, using technical evaluations and statistical comparisons. Some drew parallels with past eras of boxing, arguing that elite skill and timing can sometimes neutralize size advantages. Others quickly dismissed that idea, emphasizing that heavyweight boxing often operates under physical realities that don't bend to theory. Then came a more intriguing development. Reports circulating within industry circles suggested that major decision-makers and financial power figures in boxing are already aware of the commercial potential such a fight could generate. Early speculation even hinted at informal long-term planning discussions that could place a cross-division showdown involving these names somewhere around 2027, depending entirely on how both careers progress from here.
Mexican Monster's just become the unified cruiserweight champion of the world, and now we're talking about a super matchup in the heavyweight division? Boxers going crazy. Now, David has a long list of potential matchups in the light heavyweight division, such as your Artur Beterbiev and, of course, Dmitry Bivol. And in the cruiserweight division, none other than the man himself, Jai Petaya. But a showdown against Oleksandr Usyk? Don't get me wrong, guys. It's intriguing, but did I opt for this? Nah. As for Oleksandr Usyk, there's other matchups I need to see him take on first. I mean, the winner between Dubois versus Fabio Wally, or even Ajay Kabayel. But if Turki Alalshikh wants a matchup, most of the time, he gets it done. And don't get me wrong, guys. If this ever materializes in 2027, it will draw eyes from all over the globe.
This kind of time frame alters everything, moving the discussion away from instant fantasy towards something far more long-range. It also clarifies why neither athlete is in any hurry to pursue it. Usyk carries pressing commitments requiring total concentration. Meanwhile, Benz continues constructing heavyweight legitimacy necessary to justify such a move as credible competition rather than mere promotional hype. Yet despite all reasoning favoring patience, boxing audiences seldom behave with any patience at all. They instead thrive on curiosity. They seek to understand what unfolds when non-stop pressure meets elite control. They aim to see if high-volume punching can break precision at the highest level. They want to know whether size, skill, and timing can truly balance when neither fighter refuses to break. This is exactly why the conversation refuses to fade. Because beneath all analysis, predictions, and promotional strategy, one simple idea still drives everything forward. What would occur if David Benz actually stepped into the ring with Oleksandr Usyk at their absolute peak? Until that question gets answered inside the ring, every warning, every call-out, and every silence continues to feel like the opening chapter of something far larger than a standard boxing matchup at this moment in time.
What do you think about the fight, Mike? Great fight. Lived up to the nickname, didn't he? He did well. Right here. Mike, so after Benavidez's performance tonight, the next thing for Benavidez is what? You want to see him unify the division, go down to light heavyweight?
I want him to be where he feels comfortable at.
Did you talk to him before the fight? And if you did, what advice did you give him?
Yes, he's a great fighter. He knows what to do. I didn't have to give him any advice, but he fought great tonight.
Appreciate you, Mike. Thank you.
At this moment, boxing behaves exactly as it always does when it detects both danger and excitement arriving together. It watches closely, stays alert, debates loudly, while the athletes slowly move toward an unavoidable clash ahead. And while discussion across the sport continues to spiral in circles, the true narrative develops far from cameras and online noise, where timing outweighs opinion and patience carries strength equal to impact. Usyk is still tied to immediate goals, fully conscious that each contest at this phase brings a distinct layer of pressure. At this stage, the focus is no longer simple proof of skill, but the protection of a legacy already ranked among boxing's modern greats. Because of that, every move in his career path is shaped with extreme care, almost surgical in its accuracy. Meanwhile, Benz operates within an entirely different flow, powered by rising momentum and strong ambition. His climb through several divisions has formed a rare scenario where confidence is no longer private belief, but a shared public expectation. Fans are no longer questioning if he can rule his present division, but instead how high he is prepared to push that dominance before natural limits show up. Everything builds quietly toward a moment that could redefine expectations entirely soon.
Usyk is done with the kickboxer, assuming he wins, which, be crazy if he didn't. Who is Usyk's next opponent? So I made a list of Usyk's possible next opponents. So first, we have David Benavidez. I don't think this is as likely as a lot of people seem to think. David Benavidez just had his first fight at cruiserweight. He's probably going to move back down the other way. There's more good fights for him there that he would be more favorited in. Against Bivol, that's a top 10 pound-for-pound matchup. Against Benavidez, I don't think David Benavidez really has a...
That difference is what keeps this discussion alive, because it is not simply a possible fight. It feels like a clash of different timelines. One athlete is protecting an already finished legacy while the other is constructing his in real time. Between those two realities rests the hard truth that boxing does not accelerate greatness even when fans demand it. It waits until both men have been tested deeply, challenged fully, and proven sufficiently to earn the moment. Right now, the idea of Usyk against Benavidez exists in that strange space between rumor and certainty where every victory, every quiet moment, and every call-out slowly builds another layer toward a fight that may not arrive soon on schedule, but already feels real in conversation across the boxing world.